Good morning. Happy December 9th, 2023. Um, I just actually did the OBS YouTube integration for the first time. I see a live control panel here. I don't know if I can click on it. Says concurrent viewers none, chat rate none, views none. So I'm not exactly sure how to use the YouTube live control panel inside of OBS. So I'm going to pop over my web browser over here. And let's see what we've got going on here. Click over, go to the live. Good morning. Good morning. 10 of you, 5 likes. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. I'm not above saying that. Good morning, Tony, Jacob, Terry, Sistech, Tim. Yes, happy holidays. Hope everybody celebrates Thanksgiving. Had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, a happy Hanukkah, a great New Year, whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope that you're doing it and you're doing it well. So we do have a little bit of a delay between what I'm seeing, but that's all right. Just got to get used to all the things here. So there's a few things. Good morning, Peter from Denmark. So there's a few things that I want to talk about this morning. Some upcoming things. If you saw my last video, we were taking a look at the hardware that's inside the Unify Express. And I have a feeling that when we run the commands on this UXG Lite, I have a feeling that I don't know. I mean, they are the exact same physical size. They're just in an ounce of each other as far as weight goes. And did they put the AP in here and we just can't access it? I don't know. I mean, there's such a weight difference. I mean, this has the LCM and the Wi-Fi. This doesn't. So it's going to be interesting to see when I run the commands on this if it shows the exact same hardware as this minus the LCM. Good morning, Joe. And I think it's Gerner. I think. I don't know. I'm having problems seeing that here this morning. But okay. How's everybody doing? Next thing I wanted to talk about is I'm pretty excited. So I'm forging more and more relationships with manufacturers. And there was a manufacturer out of Cyprus that got a hold of me. And when they showed me what they make, I was totally excited about it. And let's see here. Let me bring this up. It's Proxite, and it is let me see here. It is the iBlock Essential. It is a portable PoE injector. So it will do passive, but it will also do 802.3 AF and AT. And what they did was they designed this, and they did send this to me, so thank you to them for that. I'm going to do a full video on it, usage and things like that. But here's the cool thing, right? So we've seen different pieces of equipment from different manufacturers here in the States where you could power PoE devices when you're up on a tower, you're up on a pole, or whatever. But this thing is a portable mid-span injector, and what's really nice about it is whichever port you're not using, you can or it tells you on here, yeah, which one of these is power, and then the other one goes to your device. But what they did was they actually designed this device to work with Milwaukee and what's the other brand? Milwaukee and DeWalt batteries, and I think maybe Makita. Does not work with the Ryobi batteries. The Ryobi batteries, I did ask them about that because I already have a plethora of the Ryobi batteries. It doesn't work with it because of some of the way the batteries are designed, but I think they might be working on that. I think they want to see what the market needs, what the market wants before they do that. But they did send this over, so I'm going to do a full review on this, and this thing is definitely going in my bag. And here I have the DeWalt lithium battery from a drill kit, and it just snaps in like this, and now you've got this device with you. You turn it on, and now you can do passive or 802.3 AF AT, and this thing goes with you, and you don't have to worry about dragging other power sources. And if you're already using DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Makita drills, this is a natural thing for you to just carry with you. Like I said, this is going in the everyday kit. It is, I mean, this thing, they've built this pretty intelligently. You saw how I turned it on, and now the LED is off. Like, it can sense the loads and things like that. And then there is a thing where if you want to put it on passive, you hit the power button. Like I said, full video coming on this, but I am super excited about this. I hope to get this video out before Christmas. I'll also have an Amazon affiliate link for this. So super duper excited. Thanks to the fellas over at Proxy for sending that over. And I will tell you, I am a fan of a lot of these manufacturers, and it seems to be over in the area, over there in Europe. A lot of these manufacturers, I'm going to tell you, especially Teltonica, right? They are, building their own microchip factory, their own semiconductor factory. And once it is complete, they will nothing will be made in any other country besides Lithuania. Teltonica will be making the entire, literally everything from the chips inside to the devices. And so they are cutting down their reliance, on Eastern companies. And I have an appreciation for that. I thought if we learned anything through the pandemic, it would be that we can't rely on other countries for our basic needs, and especially something as important as medical supplies, electronics in this day and age. I'm hoping, Cisco was rumored to have brought their manufacturing into Mexico, so that's closer than where some of these other devices are made. A lot of companies have moved to like a Vietnam or a South Korea, places that aren't exactly China. So I guess that helps a little bit, but let's go over to the comments here real quick. Good morning, Austin Engineer. Good morning, CH. Jacob says, what would you recommend for someone wanting to share large screen capture files, 30 to 40 gigs each, on a self-hosted setup? I have storage, hardware, bandwidth. Just need to find a good method. So you could use like OwnCloud if you don't have a Synology, and you could do an OwnCloud. You could do there's I just went through this and ended up going back to Synology for our needs and just doing a sync folder using the Drive client, and it works beautifully. So our use case scenario is we've got, a half a dozen laptops out in the field. We've got a folder on the desktop with documents in it, and we want those documents to be the same for all of those laptops, and we don't want the users to be able to delete, modify, or do any of those things, right? So what we do is we limit the Windows permissions on that folder so the user can't delete it, and then on the Synology side of it, we make it so they can't delete folders. They only have read access to the files that are in that sync folder. And literally, if you've got an internet connection, about 5 seconds after you drop a file in there, the workstation recognizes it and it syncs the file. So it works out beautifully. Yeah, Tim Bear, everybody say morning to Tim. Tim is on the stream with us this morning, and he is absolutely correct. If you have an OwnCloud instance, make sure that you get it updated. There's some security problems going on there with OwnCloud. Good morning, Ryan. Tim says, will you list the specs on video? Yes, when I release the video, it'll probably be 5, 6, 7, 8 minute video. I will release all of the specs on that and the usage. Good morning, Bob Carpenter from the frozen north. Although if you're having the same kind of weather we are, it's not really frozen. Like yesterday was like hit out like 61, 62 degrees for December 8th. Are you kidding me? The grass is going to start growing again. Bob says global supply chain and manufacturing definitely a requirement these days. Yeah. And yeah, and so what I'm hearing in the PC market is that 2024 will be kind of like your post-COVID replacement. So while we had during COVID, while we had constrained supply chain, what I'm hearing is that next year expect prices on PCs to be up several percentage points, and then expect to have that constraint again, because now coming out of that post-pandemic situation, we are, people are now refreshing their PCs and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how 2024 plays out. JH, good morning. Justin Kinsey, good morning. Matatoir says, where do you buy Grandstream equipment? So it depends on the job, and it depends on the customer. If you're just looking for a few one-off pieces, we use like 3 different suppliers at this point. And if you are an actual like reseller, and Dave Robertson, a good friend, customer, Grandstream peer, is on the stream. And he introduced me last year to NTS Direct, but they typically don't sell direct to end users. They're going to sell to other businesses. They're in Boston. They're very close to Grandstream. Their prices, as far as reselling, super competitive. Right there with Streakwave, because Streakwave is one of the major importers or the major distributors for the Grandstream gear. So Streakwave has very competitive pricing. We use Microcom. I've worked on them to see if their pricing could get a little bit more competitive for customers. And then we just started using IP phone warehouse or IP telephony warehouse or whatever it is. So I need to reach out to them and make sure that they know, because we send a lot of people to a lot of different places because we don't resell the hardware. We did that for a little bit, and I don't want to get back into that just because with the state of Illinois and the sales tax and all the different state laws and sales tax, it becomes a real pain in the butt here, and so it's better, and it saves you money as the end user if we just give you the links out, and a lot of times we don't even make money on the hardware. So we make money on our consulting and follow-up consulting and all that stuff. Bob says, everyone has to replace all the janky whatever they could get at the time during the pandemic and finally get the budgets in line to do so. And that's absolutely correct. I remember we were out looking for laptops, and we actually got the last laptops at the local Sam's Club that they had in stock, which were okay. And we had to add a third-party warranty because they weren't the grade at which HP was letting us, put a business warranty on them. And then we were at Best Buy, and I'll never forget it. There was a local, they're a nationwide insurance company, but they're headquartered here locally. And a lady was there basically paying cash, right? So I'm there buying on credit, and this lady's there paying. I mean, she walked out of there like 20 grand worth of stuff and paid cash. It was absolutely amazing. And, Best Buy, I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for that lady, and I mean, that's business, right? JB says, any news on the Unify Talk soft phones? I have not heard anything, JB. You'll have to keep your eyes officially peeled over to the Ubiquity community, because they usually they usually post a lot of that stuff on there before we know it. Ubiquity did, uno momento, don't go away. This is part of just a little bit of sometimes my camera does that, and don't know why. So back to the question. So what they did release is that at some time this month they are expecting Wi-Fi Man to be available on Windows Desktop. which is the client for UID. That's going to be a total game changer for the way those of you managing Ubiquiti networks, especially with upcoming compliance and things like that. It's going to be a real game changer. Terry Johnson says, got a Dremel tool. Actually, I have a Dremel type tool, right? So isn't it funny how we use the word Dremel like we use Kleenex instead of like tissues, right? Because the Kleenex is the brand. Dremel's the brand. I love these kinds of things. And this is usually a conversation we would have drinking bourbon, but it's 8:15 in the morning and I don't need anybody to think I got a problem, right? So, but I did buy the Ryobi. The Ryobi has a 5-volt USB lithium line out, and as I've needed things for jobs, I've started buying those. So I actually have the Dremel, the Dremel tool, the Ryobi, and I absolutely love it. Let's see. JH says, hardware reselling is a huge pain. I don't do VoIP, but I end up buying switches and servers direct now. Well, JH, at the scale that you're doing it, you've got a little bit more purchasing power than most people. Frank asks, IP phone, what is the best system for work? Grandstream UCM, hands down. So I've been contacted now 3 times about Teams integrations. We can integrate the Grandstream UCM with Teams. We can also integrate Telnex with Teams, and that is something that we do. So that's some of the things that we've seen. But definitely Grandstream UCM for anything more than 2 phones. Or even 2 phones. We've had systems that small. Unify Talk does have its place, and we'll talk about that in probably a follow-up video in the next few weeks. But Grandstream, I'm a Grandstream certified trainer, Grandstream certified expert, so that is our go-to. James, who works with me, is probably better than me when it comes to voice, and that's what we go to. We do tinker with some of the other systems. We do support Unify Talk. We will support free PBX when it is presented to us. We just did a quote to replace a free PBX system with 60 extensions. And so, and it just so happens that their handsets are already Grandstream. So we just quoted a PRI to SIP box, the UCM, and the labor to do all of we do turnkey setups. It's really not, it's not advantageous for the customer for us to come in and do it at an hourly rate. So we do flat rates with our phone systems depending on the size and the complexity. And so we did quote that. Looks like we got it. So I'll be waiting on more news on that. Justin Kinsey says, I am looking for a non-Cisco on-prem Wi-Fi management system that's FIPS compliant. Justin, that feels like an email. That feels like an email that we should talk about. There is a system by Aruba, ClearPath, that is going to meet your needs. You can build your own server. It is expensive. And JH is here. Okay, and JH is commenting, and he says he ended up on Forta AP. So how is Forta AP FIPS compliant, and how do we know it's FIPS compliant? Cody, welcome. Ryan Sharp, no, $20,000, actually like $10,000 to $20,000 fit in an envelope. It was, $100 bills. I'm sure that was petty cash they had at the office. Tim asks, did they get a fix for free PBX? Yes, we'll just replace it with Grandstream UCMs. We have been tinkering with Vital PBX for people who want a virtual solution. But I'm telling you, don't give up on Grandstream on that front, because I think 2024 is going to be the biggest year for Grandstream yet. So read into that what you will. Tim corrected me. Yes, rotary tool. The words were difficult this morning. Brian Coates, good morning. Bob says, speaking of updates, anyone running pfSense get the update ASAP2. It's mostly free BSD bug fixes, according to Tom. That I don't know. James in the group messes with pfSense the most. And actually, we've been moving over to OpenSense, and then there's another product, the DynFi. We've been looking at those. I'm actually going to be doing, so I'm going to be rebuilding the home lab and the business lab, and going to be doing some Sophos videos. People really seem to like the Sopho home appliance, so we're going to do some videos on that. We'll compare it to some of the other firewalls. The problem is, right, when you get a box like this UniFi Express, or you get a GrandStream router, and they're so inexpensive, right? The GrandStream routers. Dave Robertson, please let me know in the comments what a 7003, what the MSRP is on that. And next year, GrandStream has routers coming out that have IDS and IPS, if that's something that you need, but they've already got WireGuard, they've already got OpenVPN, and we're talking not just client, but site to site. They've got L2, TP, IPsec. I mean, there's, besides the IDS, IPS, there's nothing that a GrandStream gateway can't do. In fact, it's one of the few routers that we work with that actually gets quality of service right, and is easy. So you can do quality of service with pfSense and OpenSense, but it's kind of a nightmare. And you know, people go in and they tinker with it. And so we started a new thing, if you're all interested. When we do an engagement in a project now, the customer can have usernames and passwords after they sign off, and then they sign off agreeing, and we keep a backup of the system as it was when we handed it off. And if they go in and they change certain things, then we charge, right? It's like, if you go in and you screw up your quality of service, we're going to charge you to fix your quality of service, right? Because we engineered it, you know, to spec. Engineer Austin says, are you familiar with ISO 27001? Do you help your clients get certified? Which one is that? There's so many acronyms, so you can tell that I actually don't work with that like every day, but that is ISO 27001. Which one is that? Yeah, that's the SOC stuff. So we work with a lot of frameworks, NIST frameworks. We work with PCI, HIPAA, the SOX frameworks. So we implement a lot of these things. I haven't gone specifically through this standard, but I think that might be something good to actually do. When I'm on the ISO thing, it wants to charge me in Swiss francs. Let's see if I can get this swapped over. Let's not do euros. Let's do US dollars, freedom units. So 140, let's call it 141 USDs to get the PDF and the EPUB. Looks like to buy the framework. Is there a free place to actually get this framework, or is supporting the ISO company by buying it, is that the best way? Somebody answer, would you please, in the comments? I think I understand. Oh, while we're talking about, well, let's we'll see what people got to say about that, and then we'll continue on to some of our other things here. Luke asked, have you done a video on how to swap out the USG for the UXG Lite? I have not done that specific video, but if you look on my channel, I do have a video on there how to swap out UXG and a USG. But I'll do an updated video. James says, keep James busy. Yes, that is. JH says it has a back-end NAC that's on the firewall. And I'm assuming that we're still talking about the FIPS compliancy, right? So is it the firewall that makes, so here's the thing, here's why Cisco, the Cisco wireless LAN control. So I'm former CCNA wireless certified. I've set up and managed dozens of wireless LAN controllers, WLCs. The reason they pass the compliancy checklist is because between your managed access points, your Cisco wireless access points, and the controller, there are tunnels. And all of the traffic actually goes back through the wireless LAN controller. Now, you can configure it other way, but when you're looking at like, how do I want to be compliant, right? So that WLC is acting like the traffic cop and the traffic inspector and everything. So everything feeds from the APs back down to through the controller, which is really cool because you can get into a lot of really cool handoff situations. You can actually, Cisco actually has a server that you can buy that's, of course, super expensive, but it has the location services built in, right? Where we can have a floor map and we can actually show where devices are physically at in a building that are connected to the Wi-Fi. Now, with the API on GrandStream has location services built into the APs as well. And so Tim is actually supposed to be tinkering around with how can we harvest that information, because what I thought would be really cool, and you all tell me what you think about this. So I'm not a big brother type, but let's say that you in a building where you're supposed to be working, we need to know who's in the building and who's out of the building in the event that there's an emergency and people aren't signing in or signing out at the front desk, right? What I thought would be really cool is if you had just a simple PHP page that is updated, that when a person's device is connected to an AP inside of a building, what we do is we just have their name and then a little green dot or a red dot. So a green dot if they're in the building because their device is connected to Wi-Fi. Now, I know this isn't bulletproof, but it's a lot better than not knowing where people are at, right? So you just have a web page. It has all the people that work in the building, whether they're connected to public Wi-Fi or whether they've got a BYOD in their personal device or if it's a company device, whatever the intention is, like that it's connected to GrandStream APs and we're pulling that information out. You know, we're pulling it every 30 seconds or so. Hey, is this device connected? If it is, then our light is still green. Hey, is this device connected? No, then it's red, right? So that a front desk person or someone who's supposed to be in charge of coordinating people in the event of an emergency can look at this web page and know who they're supposed to have. I mean, we could do this with laptops, you know, anything that's got Wi-Fi connectivity. And we've got to get into the API on the GrandStream switches, but I'm wondering if we could do it that way as well. So, and NAC is very broad. And if I was going to do NAC, I would probably do packet fence. And you probably want to use edge switches, not unify switches. Let's see here. Ryan says, we use a Sophos appliance where I work running OpenSense. It's an older box. Well, that tells me what you think about the Sophos. You either didn't want to do the licensing or, you know. Yeah, it's not Cisco ASAs for the wireless. It's Cisco WLC, although the physical footprint of the boxes look the same. Yeah, everything is behind a paywall. The table of contents for that ISO document is available for free. Matatoir says, how does the tracking Wi-Fi work with phones that randomly change MAC addresses? So the rolling MAC would have to be disabled. Now, if these are corporate owned devices, you should be managing them with an MDM. And in the MDM, you could turn that option off. So it depends. JH says, I track people in buildings with Bluetooth on the access points. Most people never turn it off on their phone, but legal said I can't attach a name to the device for privacy reasons. So, and here's the thing. If all you need to do, JH, is get the employee to sign off. And if it's a corporate owned device, there is no privacy, right? The company owns that. If it's a personal device, then you have, you know, the kind of the privacy issue. But if you get them to sign off, you know, I don't see why they would, you know, and literally you could explain to people, like, there's a screen It's got a red bubble next to your name if you're in the building. It's got a green bubble if you're in the building. That's it. We're not tracking where you're at. You could get that in depth, but we don't care. Evan says, is there a small office firewall like pfSense or something that is FIPS compliant? Does anybody know of a lower cost FIPS compliant router? JH says, I track where they are at. Yeah, so you can see how much time people are spending TikToking or Netflixing in the bathroom. So, and since we've got engineer Austin here, I was lucky enough to get this company called Island to send me this router. This is the Island router. This thing has an actual Intel, like, I can't remember off the top of my head if it's the i5 or the i7. It's got an actual Intel processor in it. I think it's got 8 or 16 gigs of RAM. The folks who designed this hold a lot of patents for actually making the networks and the internet work, period. And they sent this over. I'm thoroughly enjoying this device. I'm putting it through its paces. It has fantastic content and device filtering, and it looks really cool. And it's got a magnet that I've got down here that you can mount it. It has got a 4-port switch in the back, does VLANs, has an app, has a web interface. It is expensive. Admin, engineer Austin, can you put in the comments the MSRP on this box? There's a reason that it's not cheap. But I think you're going to see this company win awards. Now, they will tell you that they don't want to be Ethernet switches. They don't want to be whole home or they don't want to be an entire Wi-Fi system, right? This is what they want to be. Single router, fast ass access, huge packet processing capabilities in this device. That's what they want to be. They want to be that content filtering here. They want you to use other access points if you've got a larger network. But I'll tell you what, this thing will handily, this thing, you can't, 1 gigabit, you can't slow this thing down. It's also completely made in Texas. Now, we say that, but we know that some of the components obviously are not manufactured here, but everything, the way they put it together, the way they support, and it's got a custom version of software running on it, and it has a full-fledged CLI, and I've asked for a reference book to it, and the kind of the tongue-in-cheek answer was, well, you know Cisco, you're going to know this. But yeah, there's a little, I don't know if you can see this or not, there's a little American flag right there to show that this thing was designed, assembled, and is supported in the States out of Texas. And they are going to, I think they're going to make a big splash, to be honest with you. And I'm going to do a video on this. I need to schedule another call with them. I need to get the latest firmware installed on it. But yeah, expect a dedicated video to that. That device, yeah, so that device, MSRP, and please know there's no licensing, and they're using a third party to do a lot of the content filtering. $1,200 for this is the MSRP. I'm not going to resell the hardware. I'll send that over to engineer Austin. If you're interested in buying hardware, all the sales will go through him. I am going to be that YouTube partner, that integration partner, where we become experts on this product. And we're really excited to see where this goes, because if they can do this, imagine what they could do in a rack mount version without Wi-Fi, right? So, and engineer Austin, feel free to tell them to roll over to the live stream and start at the 30-minute mark to see the latest thoughts, or I can email them too. But we've been on a phone call together. Great folks. JH says you can get a virtual firewall from most major firewall vendors, but at the price they charge you, you might as well buy a firewall. And I will tell you, and I like firewalls to be a physical device. There's just some comfort. We can run it in HA. We don't have to worry about the entire cluster failing. For me, there's just something about having the firewall there. And I know that we're in this time of converged networks, and my camera will be right back. I know we're in this time of converged networks, and that we are, we're talking about, network, fabric networks and completely software defined networks and things like that. But, does this have 2.5 gig? Oh yeah, it has dual WAN. I can't remember if that's 2.5 gig or not. I don't think it is. I think they're all gigabit. Let's see. Evan Baker says, I've been approached by a local emergency management office that wants me to look at replacing their SonicWall firewall, but I have no experience with SonicWall. So if you reach out to me, we work with 2 other companies. Evan, just shoot me an email. And we support SonicWall if you need help as well. So yeah, the camera keeps disconnecting. So I don't know if it's the camera, if it's the USB. I mean, my streaming computer is a few years old, so we may have to make some changes there. JH says, I use virtual firewalls often for east-west segregation. You can do that. Good morning, Alonzo. So Alonzo, longtime viewer, I consider Alonzo a friend, has sent me 2 boxes of gear that I'm going to be setting up. But I've got a lot of gear that I'm setting up, right? So I'm redoing my network racks, and I'm going to have an all Ubiquiti rack and an all Grandstream rack. Of course, storage doesn't count into that. And then TP-Link reached back out, and I want to show you this. I think this is interesting. So TP-Link now has the Omada Pro Gigabit router, so Omada Pro. So they've got Omada and Omada Pro. And check this out. They have IDS, IPS, DPI, advanced firewall policies, DOS defense, and and they're going to give away the Pro controller, and they have an entire Pro series line. So I have asked TP-Link if I can get my hands on these devices. So I'll keep you up to date on how that's going. So let's see here. The other thing that I want to talk about. So we talked about the stuff from Cypress. I got new Grandstream layer 3 aggregate switches in. You're going to see those. Going to get the, like I said, get the racks redone here hopefully this weekend. I'm going to have to mount a camera in there because I could redesign my office, but here's my problem. I don't want perfection to become the enemy of just getting things done, right? So I need to make sure that I'm not dragging my feet too much on the layout of things so that I can keep producing content and keep helping customers, right? But I want to show you this. And I've also asked TP-Link if they could send this gear out. So a fellow that I know went to work for Cambium Networks, and they are in the XG-PON game. I've been supporting more and more ISPs that are using Ubiquiti passive optical network equipment. And I had the opportunity to get some of the Ubiquiti XGS gear, and I did. And if you follow me on YouTube and Twitter, you know that I put a poll out asking, hey, if you were going to build an ISP, would you want to see fiber or wireless or a hybrid? And the hybrid and the fiber came back as the highest. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build out in a rack here, we're going to build out all of the back end stuff for a fiber ISP. There'll be a video explaining everything else you need, because just having this back-end equipment is not everything that you need. It's a very costly endeavor, but everybody that I work with that has done it, they are very fulfilled by this. It's a good business model, and it's going to be a good business model for years to come. But I have in my possession the Ubiquity XGS OLT, and I have all of the gear to make this work in a lab environment. So we're going to build this out. I'm going to show you how to build a UISP server. I'm going to show you how to manage the endpoints, do all the billing. Really, we're going to set everything up. It will have to be a couple videos because, I mean, literally, it's going to be hours worth of content. So we'll probably do like a physical build, initial configuration, and then we'll get into kind of everything else. Or maybe it'll have to be, I haven't really thought about the 3 videos, but I start filming on this later this week. And this is super exciting. So then what we're going to do is we are going to put the Ubiquity gear head to head against the Cambium gear and see who wins. Now, Cambium's price point is 2 to 3 times higher than the Ubiquity price point. And I'm going to tell you this. The Ubiquity stuff is solid, and if you're using Ubiquity gear all the way through, your ISP, your billing, everything is just going to be a seamless experience. They do have plugins for MikroTik, so you can also manage MikroTik and endpoints. I've seen now some of the customers are running Eros, and they're reselling that. They're reselling some TP-Link stuff. So I did reach out to TP-Link and ask them, hey, I'm also interested in comparing how your gear works against the Ubiquity and the Cambium. So we'll see if they answer that call. But I am super excited about this. So I've got my Edge router Infinity in there, and then this will be underneath it. And then I've got a server with 10 gig NICs so we can do some testing. I've got all the fiber connectors, everything I need down here to make this go. It's taken me a little longer to get to this because I had to replace some power receptacles and things like that. And then in between doing that, like we had problems with the pump, the well pump, and washer, dryer, dishwasher. The had to make sure that the drains were all, you know, life, right? Things. And so, but this is coming. And if my buddy Jordan is out there listening, hey, Jordan, I think you're going to really dig this. And I think everybody else is too. We're not going to charge for this class. We are going to give this one away on YouTube. So that may ruffle some feathers of some people who charge for this, but we don't charge, you know, we don't charge for everything. We do give away a lot of content because we want people to grow. And really, I think in places that are underserved, you know, this could spark that imagination like, hey, we can do this, you know what I mean? And many hands make light loads. And here's the thing, right? You may not agree with government spending. Hold on a second. Sounded like a good place to pause for a second. You may not agree with government spending, right? But here's the deal. We live in the day and age, the money's out there, right? And if you can get the money to start an ISP, to get into underserved areas, we all know that the internet is as important as the electricity that runs it, as water, as, you know, it's important to your everyday life now. And the government in the United States has allocated billions of dollars to infrastructure, and that is available to operators who are building these networks. You might as well apply for it, take advantage of it. I know there are people in the WISP groups that are like, stop government spending. And that's fine for the future if that's the platform you want to run on. But here's the deal. The money that's available now has already been allocated, so you might as well take advantage of the programs and get the money, right? If you don't do it, Comcast is going to get it. If you don't get it, Charter's going to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then what are those companies going to do? Are they really improving the infrastructure last mile? No, they're not. Everybody knows they're not. If you've used Xfinity service in the last 3 days, you know their infrastructure is nowhere near where it needs to be. And look at the amount of dollars they're getting from the federal government. I'm going to get off that. But so I would rather see a local company get these dollars, build out infrastructure. We'll help you out, you know. And if you can't do, I mean, fiber is extremely expensive to put in the ground, to string on poles. And you got to have right-of-ways, you got to have permissions, you got to have all these things. And so maybe you only do this at certain places and then you're doing fixed wireless, right? So, yeah. Bob says, perfection is the enemy of productivity. That's exactly correct. And I've had to get into that mindset. and just start slamming the content out again. As you've seen, the videos have been picking up over the last few weeks because I had to get out of that. Things have to be perfect. You know, they don't have to be perfect. You need to see me as a real person. That's what I am. I'm not an actor. That's my favorite thing when somebody calls me on the phone. They're like, "Oh my God, you sound like you do in your videos." I'm like, I don't know how other YouTubers operate, but this is not a character that I play on TV. This is me. This is how I am all the time. Ask my family. Ask James. Ask Tim. This is me. This is me. JH says, I'm waiting on Netgear to get the memo to make SDN to compete in the SMB market. Yeah, all their stuff is web-based, right? All their stuff. And so that stops a lot of people. That stops a lot of people from using it. JH says, I deployed UBNT GPON at a dorm. It was nice and simple. It's super simple. It's super simple. And we're going to go through that. Jacob Johnson. Oh my goodness. This camera is killing us here this morning. Let me turn it off. It's still there. I'm going to wiggle the cables. And you know what? I'll actually bet you that I have a Windows update that is available. And I'll bet you the Windows update is causing this, because this happens when there's a Windows update available and I've ignored it. Yeah, Jacob actually gifted me two servers out of his rack a couple years ago. And I did re-gift one to Ryan, and I've still got one. And I'm actually, if you're in the Peoria area and you want a Dell server, Jacob, if you want it back, that's totally cool. We can meet up. But if you're looking for a server, it is a server that can go to a good home. All right, let's see here. Justin says, I've looked into the Fortinet NAC. My concern was using it was in conjunction with the Cisco ASA. All right, that's a whole different conversation. Yeah, if you're looking to do NAC and stuff like that, if y'all want a full video on packet fence with like Grandstream switches or edge switches or Netgear switches, let me know. Bob says, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. I was going to get to that project. Welcome to my weekends. Yeah, and that's the thing. I've got a phone full of ideas, and it's like, well, if I do this, then people are going to blah, blah, blah. And I've got to just get past that, caring what people think, and create the content that I know people have wanted and content that I want. Because, you know, sometimes when you make stuff for yourself and then you're passionate about it, it connects, you know, instead of, you know, making it look like a huge advertisement, which is not what I want to do. Michael Kellogg says you can generate your own power, but not internet. Well, technically you could create your own internet internally, but yeah, you still got to get connected to the larger world. Hans says, I have a Dream Machine. Now, do you think it would be worth upgrading to the Unify Express because it has Wi-Fi 6? This would be home use only. So what you need to do, if you can still hear me, and this is getting worse and worse with the camera, and now my camera's not even turning back on, folks. All right, hold on a second. Okay. So what you would want to do, Hans, is I would just add the Unify Express to the Dream Machine. You should be able to adopt that right in. I wouldn't replace the UDM with the Express. I would add the Express to the UDM. So JH says, I feel that WISPs are going to be going away in the next 5 years with Starlink, Amazon Internet being, well, so that's a thing. It's not really cheaper. And I don't think WISPs are going to be going away at all. This is there's a great debate about this in the WISP community. And I thought that Starlink was going to hurt WISPs. They're not really targeting WISP clients, and the customer service from Starlink has gone so far downhill since they originally launched. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that Starlink can now overtake an ISP that has good customer service, a WISP that has good customer service. And I think there's a lot of problems with Starlink and Amazon. And I just don't think that you're going to see it hurt the traditional WISP at this point, especially when a WISP, a lot of times the smaller wisps, they live in the community, they work in the community, they put money back into the community. It's a whole different thing. James says, we are going into our 5th year. Ubiquity has served our company well. Yeah, absolutely. And James, thanks for being here this morning. James is a friend and a customer and a brother. So not like blood brothers, but like, you know, like brothers, not Illuminati, Masons. Two different things. Illuminati doesn't exist anymore. Now you're all going to go down that rabbit hole on the internet. Have a good Saturday for that. Let's see. Alonzo says, I can send you a MikroTik router board 3011 for the new lab. Well, that's nice, Alonzo. I appreciate that. Yeah, I need to do a MikroTik. I've got a ton of MikroTik gear that I've bought and traded and traded for and sold. So I should probably do a part of a rack for that. Systech 911 says, better call Galaxy IT help desk. LOL. Yeah. Somebody talking about my camera, just blow on the connectors. That'll fix it, right? Throwback to those of us who were old enough to remember the first Nintendo. Ryan says, server got good use out of it. Gave it to another friend when mom said it was too loud, which is fair. Just paying it forward. Yep, appreciate that. Jacob says, I got 16 of those still. If anyone wants, they're welcome to it. I'm slowly upgrading to X30 series now. So when I have physical servers, I want small form factor or 1U smaller servers because we're running more things in Docker or in VMs, right? So the amount of physical compute we have to have, we're not running NASA, we're not running the National Supercomputing Lab. So the amount of compute that we have to have is not huge to run a lot of the software in a home lab. In fact, you could run an entire home lab on a well-built Raspberry Pi or Protectly box. Yeah, Ubiquity makes good stuff. Grandstream make good stuff. I'm doing a project with a customer for with Synology. We're basically building a travel router, site-to-site travel router with that. So Matawar says, thoughts on replacing a USG with an Express until the light comes back in stock? Well, it depends how many other UniFi devices you need to manage. You can manage this and 4 other devices with the Express. It can do a total of 5 devices. Say it with me. Itself is 1 and then 4 additional devices. And Evan McCann posted a funny picture using the count from Sesame Street on the Ubiquity subreddit saying 1, 2, you got to check it out. But anyway, it's up to you. It just depends. If you've got more than 60 wireless devices, no. If you've got under 60 wireless devices, why not? And because this thing can route quite a bit of traffic. We're gonna take a look at that hardware on that UXG Lite and see if they've just got something in there that's telling it not to use the storage, and we're gonna check it out. So Bob Carpenter, I think that the Express is probably a good travel router. Grandstream would be a good travel router. Synology would be a good travel router. So Lilbo876, it's IP Engineer. Hey, IP Engineer, a long time no see. I sent you a bunch of Cisco stuff before. Yes, you did. I still have it in the lab. We still occasionally use it. Thank you for that. I need to send you the ASR 9006. All lab gear, definitely welcome here. If you've got anything else you're decomming and you want to send it this way. The only thing I ran into was I was trying to get the latest operating system for the Extreme switches you sent me. And since I don't have the purchase information or a lot of that stuff, Extreme did not want to talk to me. So that's the only thing I ran into there. Yeah, electricity where we're at is crazy expensive right now. So a lot of my stuff gets turned off almost every night. Gina, good morning. Any preferences, UniFi versus Grandstream? Anytime we're doing voice, we're Grandstream all the way. If we're gonna, I mean, it really depends on the client. If the client's already UniFi, if the client's experiencing problems, A lot of times we'll go Grandstream out of the box. They've both got their pluses and minuses. Abdul, thanks for helping. Unify still needs to get robust with handling VMs over a single wired interface. It messes up the topology. Yes, Abdul and I have been emailing back and forth about that problem. Yeah, Ryan, the Express is tiny. So here is, so the Express is the exact same footprint as the UXG Lite. And here is the old USG, and and a lot of people are complaining that this doesn't have a secondary interface. However, for failover for the WAN, what you can do is you can get the failover Pro device and put your own SIM card in it, so you're not paying Ubiquiti for that, and then you could have WAN failover on that. And if you've got static IPs, even better, because if you don't have static IPs with that provider, then you get a CG NAT address, and then you got to have some sort of VPN service if you're doing that works with that. That's a whole other conversation. Let's see. Deny says, I bought the Unify Express as my first Unify device. I considered buying the UXG Lite in front of it. Will it work together? So the Express, no. So the UXG Lite has to be the gateway. Its entire goal in life is to be the gateway, and it's managed by a third-party controller, whether it's a self-hosted or we always recommend that you host your own Unify instance, and if you're going to cloud host it, just host it with Ubiquiti. Or we can help you build out your own server or buy a cloud key or whatever. But there's a lot of things that go into trust when it comes to third-party services, and I do have a video coming out about this, so you'll want to keep your eyes peeled. Microsoft Azure Connect DK camera. All right. Alonzo's hooking me up. JH, whatever Ethernet switches you've got, I would love to add them to the lab, because I have an entire rack full of switches. And switching is one of my most favorite things. So send anything you want to send, brother. Gina says, looking to install a Grandstream network plus Grandstream voice. Absolutely. That's a great solution. In fact, we've quoted 4 Grandstream systems just this week. The largest one that we did get was with that 60 handsets. I've got another one now with 12 handsets, and the other ones I think are around 20 handsets. Jeff asked, do you have discussion forums? We do not, but that is something that we've talked about. Tim is here, and I think discussion forums, I like discussion forums better than Discord, because it's easier, it's static, we can go in and we can look at these things, and that's something that we've definitely been talking about. So if you're watching this and you'd like us to have discussion forums, let us know, leave a comment. And over 70 of you watch and only 28 likes, make sure you hit that like button. Engineer Austin says, I can send you some stuff to play with, new products that didn't pass my muster test. Love your take on them. Absolutely. Absolutely. R620, not interested. Appreciate it, Ryan. JH says, do an old school Telnet BBS and then do the, so I own the software. I'm a licensed World Group owner. We could totally do it. My preferred option is forum. Tim runs the most successful WordPress Discord channel that there is. I guess we could do Slack. But the thing is, like, you get in there and you got to, to me, a forum, if we're starting technical discussions, a forum just makes better sense. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if you bury me in hardware, I'll do a nonprofit giveaway. We'll select we'll have nonprofits sign up and we'll redo their network, But we could definitely do a BBS. I could spin that bad boy up in a VM. And there's actually a web-based client for Telnet that we can wrap in SSL. so we could actually make it to the outside world. We could actually make it secure. That would be fantastic. So Tim says moderation becomes a headache on Slack and Discord, but with enough help it works. Forum is best for search threads, etc. Yeah, absolutely. So JH says you get less bots on a Telnet BBS forum. Yeah. So, and no data scrapers. So here's what I'm going to do. If you're not following me on Twitter and you're not following me on YouTube, make sure you're following me. As soon as we're done with this live stream, I'm going to throw up a poll. Do we want to see a forum or a old school text-based BBS? The really cool thing is if I put up the BBS, is that I'm licensed for the, in the teleconference, I'm licensed for the Gunfighter game. And if you've never played that on a world group or major BBS system, it is absolutely a riot to do that in a text-based context. So I will put the poll up on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, and I'll put it on YouTube, and you all can let me know. I have occupied an hour of your time this morning, December 9th, 2023. I appreciate all of you, honestly. Without all of you out there supporting us, there's no reason to do this. So you should not only give this video a thumbs up, you should give yourself a pat on the back. Thank you for being here. I hope your holiday season, whatever you celebrate, is going wonderfully. And go out there, make it a fantastic day. Be kind. And if you need IT consulting, remember you can reach out, williehowe.com. We're going to put that poll out there so we can get started on that. I hope everybody has a great Saturday. And as always, we'll see you in the next video.